crazy to think that it's been almost 50 years since Margot Kidder as Lois Lane said the iconic line, "You've got me, who's got you?" to Christopher Reeve Superman, because we still don't know the answer. Well, today we got that answer on who got Superman, and his name is James Francis Gunn Jr. That man don't miss. My brother in Christ, there's not enough honey in the multiverse to pour on James Gunn, because I legit just have not stopped smiling since I watched. I'm so hope-filled right now, it's not even funny. I gave every AMC worker a hug and $1 on the way out. But alas, I'm sorry to be the bearer of not so great news. I didn't love this as much as I wanted to. In fact, this is the most conflicted I've felt about a movie that I love. Like, it's a weird feeling I have. But enough yap. Either way, me and you know what we gotta do. We gotta talk about it in a spoiler-free manner. Don't worry, there's not gonna be any spoilers. First things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil. But for real, the biggest thing I can say is that this is the Superman movie that I've always wanted to see on the big screen. This is the Superman that I grew up watching. I grew up reading. It felt like a couple of episodes of Superman the Animated Series, and James Gunn just understood the fucking assignment, man. This is Superman to his core. This is a movie that we as a society so deeply need. This is a movie that couldn't have come at a better time, and definitely has a lot of meta commentary on our own real world political climate. Warring countries, an alien immigrant, a narcissistic tech billionaire, and an idiot running a country. My good friend Alex Coleman said it best. One of the best lessons that Superman teaches us is that you can never fucking trust a billionaire. You know who you can trust? Your neighbor, your friend, your community, those around you. Be kinder to each other. It doesn't cost you a thing to be nice, to be more compassionate, to be more empathetic, and to treat everyone with the respect that you think you deserve. And there's a lot of phrases I've seen people using to describe this movie, like comic booky or a comic book brought to life, and I just think those are played out and oversaid. For me, I would say this movie has so much reverence for its source material, for comics. It isn't afraid to go full splash panel. It really feels like, hey, I just picked up an issue of Superman. We're getting right into it. Let me go get the next issue and the next issue and the next. It moves at a breakneck pace. And honestly, at sometimes it doesn't really get the emotional moments to breathe. And for as much crap as the MCU gets for saying a joke right after an emotional moment, I gotta be honest, this movie does that a lot, which is one of my biggest negatives for this film. Like, let me live in these emotional moments. Like, y'all almost got me to cry, but then you're gonna hit me over the head with a dumb joke. But to be fair, they're not dumb jokes. The jokes were actually fire. And Superman was crazy head placement. Superman was perfectly brought to life by David Corn Sweat. He is Superman. He, like those before him, was born to play this role. And here we get more of his playful, corny-like banter, but we also see a very interesting side of him that is like frustrated because he's just trying to do the right thing, but every time he does the right thing, something bad happens. That spoke to me so personally. Like, there's so many times where I'm just trying to do the right thing and something bad ends up happening, and I'm just like in this weird numb state where I'm like, is this even all worth it? The answer is yes, by the way. So David is easily up there with some of my favorite Superman performances ever. But as much praise as David Corn Sweat gets, Rachel Brosnahan deserves the same amount. She was born to play Lois Lane for real. And that's the marvelous Miss Mabel. You should know this, baby. But she perfectly embodies everything you want of Lois Lane, a strong, independent woman who sometimes can't get out of her own ambitious ways, but at the core, she just has so much love to give out. And her dynamic with all three personas of Superman is mwah, chef's kiss. I loved every single scene they had together. You kind of get like a 3-act structure of their relationship. It's kind of funny. That interview scene in the beginning was, woo! I know we all been there if you've been in a relationship, but this scene in particular, like, was really sweet. Like, I almost got there emotionally, but I just absolutely love their dynamic together. It was mwah, mwah, chef's kiss. But you want to talk about a glorified D1 hater? Oh my goodness, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor gives us one of the greatest hating performances of all time. It inspires me to be a better hater. The shit this man was doing in this movie had me perplexed. This is also the baldest anyone has ever looked. That bald-headed demon. I have seen some people criticize that it feels like a Saturday morning cartoon and that he's one-dimensional, but honestly, I don't care. I like that. Bring back a villain just being a straight-up menace. We don't need to make them sympathetic, even though those are the better villains. Having Lex just being the Kendrick Lamar to Superman's Aubrey Graham, and him just being like his flight stance, whack. His hair curl, whack. Me, I'm bald as fuck. Like, ooh, I just knew he wanted to hit that Daredevil. I beat you. Like, I was for real waiting for him to look at Superman and say, what is it, the hair curl? He put the word out to all the other hating villains out there that there's levels to this shit, and y'all can't touch him. For all the hate that Crypto got in the marketing, all I gotta say is if you don't fuck with Crypto, I don't fuck with you. That's the goodest boy ever. Mr. Terrific was easily the standout of the Justice Gang. He gets one of the coldest scenes in the entire movie. And James Gunn, I need you to greenlight a Terrific's project yesterday. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner has a stupid ass bowl cut, and he's an asshole. He's perfect. He's literally the perfect Guy Gardner. I actually really loved most of his scenes. Isabella Merced unfortunately gets the short end of the stick, but she's a hot girl for real. And she can make me screech. And listen, I know a lot of people are entitled to their own opinion, but I don't know what movie they watched when they say this movie is visually ugly. I think it's fine. Like, have y'all not watched The Flash? Ironically enough, it was the same cinematographer as this movie. But I think this is fine. Like, how else do you want a Superman to be moving? And speaking of a Superman moving, this man was moving. Oh my God, the action sequences and fight scene. This scene in particular, I levitated. I was legit looking up the entire time. He had Superman and Crypto doing combos like Shaq and Penny in Orlando. And easily, without a shadow of a doubt, this right here is my favorite scene in the the entire movie, you will get no more context, but this right here got a tear out of me. This movie really could have used more Ma and Pa Kent, but I'm glad with what the scenes we got. Honestly, this movie could have used a lot more Clark Kent. He's barely in this movie. It was very the Batman in that way, in which he's Superman for most of this movie, and much like how Bruce Wayne was Batman the entire of the Batman movie. And also, after watching Superman, I could definitely see this working as our world's finest. I don't care what you say, their two worlds could definitely collide and work. And I low-key kind of need that. Specifically, it could have used more of the big three here. I was really hoping that they would pull more inspiration from My Adventures with Superman. I really love the big three's dynamic in the animated show, but there is hope for the future. John Murphy and David Fleming's score, mwah, mwah, mwah. They're just spamming John Williams' score with different motifs, but it works. The whole time I was watching the movie, I was just like, chills. Like, the score is so powerful, it almost brought me to tear a couple times. There's a scene that you've seen in the trailer before where a kid puts up the flag. Like, it almost brought me to tears. Like, just the score starts pounding in that scene, and everyone's looking at the TV screen, and they're just asking for Superman, and you're just left in your seat like, damn. This is what I go to the movies for. This is why we watch movies. This is why we watch comic movies. This is why we watch superhero movies. Now, one thing I will say is I have seen comparisons to Raimi's Spider-Man. No, not even close. Did not touch those levels. But I can see why people are making homages and comparisons to Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, which, funny enough, was inspired by the original Superman movie, which, to me, still the best Superman movie. Like, Superman in this movie gets shit on a lot. He gets beaten to a pulp, loses time and time again, but never loses his North Star and who he is as a person. That's the core sentiment of this entire movie and why I feel so damn happy. And the more I think about this movie, the more I love it. So I'm glad I kind of yapped longer because this was just me kind of expressing my feelings. It isn't even really a cohesive review I put together here. I'll have a more in-depth spoiler review because there's a lot more to talk about. There are a couple of post-credit scenes, but they're more just fun gags. You don't really need to stay for them, but obviously if you're a diehard fan, you're going to stay and watch them. There are some fun surprises sprinkled throughout the movie, especially at the end. So you're in store for a hell of a time, especially if you're a Superman fan. If you're a diehard Superman fan, this is going to be your favorite movie probably ever. If you're someone who came up on Superman with Man of Steel, I don't think you're going to like this movie that much. If you're someone who doesn't like superhero movies, why are you watching this? I know it's some of y'all's jobs, but like, damn. All in all, this is a movie that just embodies everything that I aspire to be as a person. It's the indomitable human spirit. Be kind to yourself, be kind to each other. In the end, let love win, because being kind is punk rock. For my first watch, I ended up giving Superman 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Have you seen Superman already? What were your thoughts? Are you going to be checking it out? Drop a comment down below, and as always, like and follow for more. Because that shit is absolute cinema. Here's a picture of me meeting Superman for real. Who's who? I really can't even tell the difference. But now let's go over to these very interesting comments that David Cornsweet made in an interview with Nerdist. The interviewer is Hector Navarro, who is someone that I look up to very, very much. He's one of the GOATs. But take a listen to what David had to say.
Being non-specific,
yes.
One thing that excites me so much about James's vision for the DCU is the different genres and tones that the movies can take on. I know that people are skeptical that certain genres and characters can mix. I would love to see this Superman in an R-rated project, in a detective, in a thing like Lanterns, where it's that True Detective feel. I just think it can happen, despite how, in spite of how bright and playful this version of the character is. I think there's room to be flexible, so I'd be very excited to see that.
I don't know about you. I know he mentioned Lanterns, but to me that sounds like he thinks that Superman and Robert Pattinson's Batman can coexist. Stop throwing tomatoes. I know, stop, sorry. But until James Gunn definitively casts his version of DCU's Batman, no one's gonna let go of this being a potential world's finest. And we're not gonna sit here and act like it couldn't work. The aesthetic juxtaposition is exactly what you would want. If you were to pick up a Batman comic, it's gonna feel different than picking up a Superman comic. The beauty is when they have a world's finest film or a world's finest comic and those two styles mesh together. James Gunn has admitted that he's contemplated bringing Robert Pattinson's Batman into his new DC universe, but he still ultimately says that he doesn't see it happening. And ultimately, the decision isn't up to James Gunn, it's up to Matt Reeves, which I love to hear because it's true. This is a character and world that Matt Reeves created, so he should have a say in if it should fall into another world. So either way, only time will tell.